Welcome to the world of Eibach Springs, a world inspired by just one thing, the will to win.
I tell you what, it was a 105 race losing streak I had going on, and I switched to Eibach, and those springs got me in victory lane. They enabled myself and my team to do things with the suspension I never thought I could do.
I have used Eibach springs since 1992, so that'd be 12 years ago. I got hooked up with Wilfred, and he helped us out with our Ford trophy truck that we were running back then, and we've used the springs ever since.
It's the drive that pushes racers to the very edge of their abilities. It's the same drive that pushes us to create nothing but the very best. It's the drive that has put us on top of the racing world, the whole world over again. Whether our springs are going on a Formula One race car or on your own personal street car, the same expertise we bring to Monaco, Le Mans, Daytona, and the Baja 1000 goes right into each and every spring and suspension component we make.
Suspension people, it's got to be Eibach, the place you go when you want to get this topic handled, no matter what make of automobile you're driving.
There's actually a face that goes with the name Eibach. We have Mr. Eibach sitting here with us. So
my first name is Wilfred, and I don't like Mr. Eibach so much. So my father started the company in 1951, and so I'm the second generation. And now I have my son Ralph also in charge.
Eibach Springs is based in Germany, of course, but we have research and development staff all over the world, working hand in hand to deliver superior suspension technology.
South Africa came to the racetrack in Kialami, walked into the booth of BMW and Alfa. So I said to the guys, how can I help you with better springs when you qualify first? So they started laughing and took me around the corner and showed me all the Eibach boxes.
We'd like to show you now how we engineer and produce our legendary springs, why they are so superior, and how we give you the best ride you can get.
As far as I know, all coil springs in Formula One are made by us. We were very successful in NASCAR as well.
In NASCAR, we use the springs different than we use them in off-road. In off-road, I use the springs to hold the car up at static ride height. In NASCAR, we use the springs to put different pressure on each tire to try to get as most amount of mechanical grip you can get out of the car.
With such specific needs, you can guess at how our springs have to be designed. It is an actual science, so let us give you a tour of Eibach Springs. You don't have to take our word, or even that of legendary racers, for our quality, because we are certified to the strictest international quality standards. This guarantees that we continually improve our quality in every part of our business, be it research, quality control, or of course, customer care. Before we can start to produce our springs, of course, we have to design them. This is where it starts. These guys spend their time taking cars apart. They precisely test and measure the stock springs from the car and start the process of determining what each specific car needs in terms of high-performance suspension. From there, we develop the design and create a prototype spring. It's a start, but to see if it is up to our performance standards, we simply need to drive it.
We're test driving one of our new developed Sportline kits, and we're determining the vehicle dynamics in both slow and high speed conditions. We're trying to determine if the lowering and handling is effective for street and performance driving.
Why should we believe what this guy has to say about performance driving? Well, this is what he does in his free time, and he is not the only race car driver at Eibach. But how do they know which car to take apart? Well, you are telling them. We monitor the market and react to your demand. That is quality control. Our goal is to continually increase our suppliers' and customers' satisfaction, your satisfaction with us. So let us now see how everything begins. Our first big choice in producing a spring is picking exactly the right composition and diameter of spring steel wire. The world's best high tensile strength pre-hardened alloy spring steel. We feed that wire into our machines along with the precise design information. From that, the machine winds its first spring. We let a first test spring run through the complete manufacturing process. Then our experts examine the result, and then often fine-tune some of the design parameters. Whenever the springs need a flat top or bottom, their ends are ground. That is difficult and time-consuming because we need to keep the spring's axis dead center in the coil. If the axis were a little off, the spring would create a side load under pressure.
Now that we run the Eibach, we eliminated 3 problems. First, we don't coil bind. Second, we have our free height standing after the race, and the rate doesn't give up.
NASCAR has us limited so much that springs are like 90% of the setup.
What looks like a spring here does not yet behave like a performance spring. The spring steel is twisted from the coiling procedure and the outside surface is unprotected. So by tempering the material, the crystals in the steel alloy form new molecular bonds, making the spring stronger. Next comes a rather rough massage. We subject every single spring to this huge shot peening machine. Inside, millions of tiny steel balls pummel the spring like small forging hammers. They strengthen the spring's surface and eliminate imperfections that could cause cracking years down the road. We don't want our springs to lose strength over time, and neither do you. So we squeeze them to their physical limit. In technical terms, it's called setting. It prevents the spring from sagging or sacking with intensive use.
There's nothing more frustrating than going on a test or being in the middle of practice before you're going to race. And really having the car where you want it and the balance just right, and then with the losing rate in your springs, especially the front springs, or losing height, then you start chasing the car because it changes the balance of the whole car. Really, Eibach has eliminated a lot of problems for us.
After all these steps, you could already use these springs in your race or street car, but we will not let you, because they will not last long if they are not properly protected. For that, we are not painting them. We are electrostatically applying a sophisticated and baked-in powder coating over a phosphate layer for maximum durability and adhesion. To make sure that you get the best performance springs possible, we need to check them again. For high-performance springs, we check every single one we sell. We recheck every dimension and retest the spring rates, making sure they conform exactly to our design. We subject them to long-lasting corrosion tests. We compress and release them again and again, as many as 1,000,000 times. Only springs that make it through this room are allowed to leave the factory. A spring that fails our tests is doomed. It was not good enough to receive the Eibach logo. We are very proud of what we have accomplished on the racetrack and on the street, and we want you to be just as proud, knowing that when you see our Eibach logo under your car, you know you chose the best performance springs you or anybody else can buy. Eibach is, of course, the world leader in high-performance springs, but we also do a whole lot more. In addition to the Eibach spring, the heart of the suspension system, we can provide you with complete suspension packages for street and performance driving. The Eibach Edge is not just a look, it is also the small, sometimes invisible things which add up to the legendary Eibach ride.
I still use Eibach springs on my Red Bull trophy truck.
It is by far the best suspension products I've used on my vehicles. That also carries right across to my own personal street-type vehicles.
And we love what we do. And that I think that people see that. We do it with passion.
So drive safely and be inspired by the will to win.
Eibach as a brand is on the racetracks around the country, and with my racing heritage and background, you know, you can't overlook that. It's a perfect compromise for performance and ride comfort on the street. I am very passionate about what I drive, and passion is something that you feel, and Eibach is a product that when you have it in your vehicle, you feel the performance, you feel the passion, and it is just an extension of the way I feel about cars. So for me, that will keep me on Eibach for a long time to come.